Hello everyone. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. I know you guys are used to my vlogs where there's some b-roll and some music playing and all that kind of stuff throughout it. This is going to be a much more simple and kind of ranty video where I kind of just talk about some life updates, residency interview updates, other things that are going on. I guess technically this is still a vlog because I am still video logging, but it's just going to be a little bit more of a rant. So grab a coffee and maybe throw this on while you're getting ready in the morning, driving, whatever you guys are doing today. First and foremost, happy holidays. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Christmas season and are getting to spend a lot of time with your family. I, for one, am spending a ton of time at home. As you guys can see, Chip and Chewy are in the holiday spirit with their Christmas outfits. If you're a student and you just took finals, then I hope they went well, and hopefully now you have some time to take some vacation and just relax for a few weeks. Anyway, yeah, this is basically kind of just a video to update you guys on things that have been going on. As you guys know, I am pretty deep in residency interview season right now, and honestly, it's getting a little exhausting, only in the sense that like the novelty at the beginning was really exciting. Like obviously I was really stoked to finally be at this point where I'm interviewing for residency programs, I know what I want to apply to, all that kind of stuff. But man, I am ready to just hurry up to match day because I think the relief of finally submitting ERAS went away pretty early. And then, you go through interviews and that's exciting. And now you're just at the point where you kind of just want to hurry up and find out what's going to happen. So when I started my YouTube channel, a lot of my videos were kind of sit down like this and talk about my medical school application cycle updates. And a lot of you guys really liked my videos because I was pretty transparent with everything, rejections, the number of interviews I was getting, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like I probably haven't been as maybe transparent as I used to be, probably just because I myself am a little bit more worried now, maybe a bit more self-conscious. So in the spirit of transparency, let's talk about how my residency interview cycle is going. So when applications went out, I applied to 65 anesthesia programs in the United States. I also applied to 23 transitional year and prelim year programs. So I basically applied to a total of 88 schools, which is a lot. And normally you would say, okay, that's pretty standard. Like that's pretty much what the number was that everyone was applying to, but it's a little bit different for my application cycle because of this whole thing with signaling. If you guys don't know what signaling is, it's basically a way to like super like a program and tell them, hey, I'm extra interested in you. And depending on the specialty you apply to, you have a varying amount of signals. So for me, who apply to anesthesiology, I have 15 signals and they're two-tiered. So there is basically 5 gold signals and 10 silver signals. There are other specialties like pediatrics and family medicine that have, I think, somewhere between 5 and 7 signals, and they're just like one tier, just like one type of signal. And then there's programs like radiology where 6 of them are gold and 6 of them are silver. If it sounds confusing, then trust me, it was confusing for us as well, especially because signals were first tested with the cohort before me, and then they are being further tested with my cohort where they've changed the number of signals, the tiering of signals. And so like I said, conventionally you apply to a lot of residency programs just like you do for medical schools, but being in a specialty where we have a lot of signals like anesthesia, we have 15, then you start to wonder what was the point in applying to all the other programs that I couldn't signal. And again, for the sake of transparency and also just to give you guys a better idea of how this has all affected us, I have gotten a total of 7 anesthesia interviews, which I am very happy with. I'm really glad that 7 programs saw my application and decided that they wanted to extend an interview to me. Of course, I wish I got more. I know people who have gotten many more than 7, but I also know people who have gotten less than 7. So I'm pretty grateful for the amount that I've gotten. But to break it down again, I applied to 65 anesthesia programs, signaled 15, and got 7 interviews. And all those interviews were within my signals. So essentially the other 50 programs that I applied for was kind of a waste of money because chances are none of them looked at my application at all because I didn't signal them, and they're just gonna look at applications of people who did. So the entire landscape of the residency application and interview trail has completely changed with my cohort. The statistics that we use to assess how many programs you should apply to, how many programs you need to interview at to match, is kind of not that applicable for my class and anyone else applying right now. And so it's a little bit nerve-wracking because you can't really tell if it's going to be okay because you didn't get as many interviews, or if because everyone is getting less interviews on average, then it kind of evens the playing field out for everyone. Oh, and again, I sent out 23 TY and prelim applications, and amongst all of those, I've gotten 5 interviews for prelim and TY programs. So the timeline right now is next month, I will finish my last 2 interviews. The following month, I will submit my rank list for the programs that I interviewed at. And the first week of March, I'm going to match or not match. I know what you're thinking. That's really pessimistic and I shouldn't think of the worst case scenario. But the reality is you have to think about these things because I've been working towards this for almost 10 years now, and my future is not guaranteed. I don't know for sure what's going to happen, and I need to kind of mentally have a plan in my head for the different outcomes that can occur. The outcomes being that 1, I match into a categorical anesthesia program and I have the next 4 years of my life guaranteed in an anesthesia residency. The second outcome is I match into an advanced anesthesia program and I do a year of a TY or prelim program, and then I do 3 years of anesthesia at whatever that program is. The third outcome is that I don't match into an anesthesia program at all, and I only match into a TY or prelim program. So at least I would have a job for the first year of being a resident doctor. Then I'd still have to reevaluate, do I want to just go and scramble and try to get a different spot and to, a full residency? Do I want to just end up taking a research year and applying next cycle? It's a tough decision, and not matching into the specialty that you've worked this hard to match into is only going to be traumatic and really just disheartening for anyone in that position. And that will happen to people. It happens every single year. There aren't as many residency spots as there are applicants. And so that's why the scramble was created. Oh, and the fourth outcome is I don't match into anesthesia, prelim, or TY, and I either scramble or take a research gap year to reapply again. Again, I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but these are the daily thoughts when you're going through this, especially for how confusing and disheartening this interview cycle has gone. And I know I'm not alone in this. I've talked to several of my classmates. They're feeling the same way. I've talked to students at other schools. They're also feeling the same way. It's just a really scary time. And again, I'm super grateful for the amount of interviews I've gotten. I'm grateful to have even made it this far. I can't believe how fast the last 4 years have flown by, but that anxiety does start to take over at some point, and you start to think about these less than desirable case scenarios. In general, I feel like my interviews have gone well. I actually have enjoyed my conversations with the program directors, with the residents, with the APDs and other faculty at these programs. But I'm sure a lot of people feel that their interviews go well and then still don't necessarily end up where they would like to. So it's hard to take that good feeling after an interview and I don't know, look at it at face value, if that makes any sense to you guys. So yeah, the TLDR is I have 7 anesthesia interviews, 5 prelim and transitional year interviews, and I think that the interviews have gone pretty well, but we can't be certain. What else did I want to talk about? Oh yeah, so as you guys have noticed, we have been pretty consistent with posting on YouTube again. That's been really nice for me. I know that throughout most of 2022 and 2023, my posting here on YouTube was a lot more sporadic than it ever was before. There's honestly a few reasons for that, and I can probably talk more about it in another video that's a lot less rambly than this. But essentially, I think life kind of just got really hard for me. Third year clerkships were really difficult, and I was going through, I don't know, probably the toughest part of my entire education so far. There are also things happening, like you guys know, my dad passed away during my 3rd year, I moved back home, and during all that, I kind of had issues with my own self-image. I didn't feel like I was being the best medical student, like I wasn't focusing hard enough on doing my best, which in hindsight, I was doing a lot. I was doing well in my rotations. I was studying for boards despite all the stuff happening in my personal life. I did research, everything I really needed to do. But in the moment, it just felt like it wasn't enough. Furthermore, between the time that I took step 1 and started my 3rd year clinical rotations until when I took step 2, I gained a lot of comfy weight. It wasn't that obvious, but a long time ago, I posted a video about losing weight. I had gone up to like 165 or 168 pounds during my first year and a half of medical school, and then dropped down to 151. And I made a video talking about that a little bit. Well, during my 3rd year, I essentially went all the way from like 151 pounds to 175. So I gained over 20 pounds during that time. And it didn't really show, like maybe a little bit kind of in my face, mostly a little bit here if I like took my shirt off, but most people didn't really notice it. I, however, definitely noticed it. I mean, I used to be a professional athlete. I used to perform in shows. Athletics were a really big part of my childhood and also in college. And so when you're that kind of in tune with your body and your capabilities, you notice when things are deteriorating. And I would go to the tumbling gym and do tricks that mentally I knew how to do, but my body was so much less conditioned. It was heavier, it was harder to do things that I should physically be able to do. Since I took step 2 this year, I have focused heavily on my diet and exercise, and I went from 175 to where I am now at 147 pounds. When I was at my most peak athletic performance, I believe I was between 140 and 145 pounds, and I was pretty lean. Again, that was kind of like my peak athleticness. And so being back down under 150 and being in the 140s again, I have never felt so good physically throughout the entire time that I've been in medical school. I know it kind of sounds like we went off topic, but I guess my point is that between my own, issues with my self-image, the difficulties of navigating the 3rd year medical school and staying on top of everything, and then the things happening in my personal life with, my dad and everything, it all kind of accumulated to be the reason why I spent so much less time doing things like YouTube and trying to focus on basically keeping my head above water and just try to push through to the next phase or the next step in this entire process. But all that has gotten so much better. Moving back home was stressful and it was something I had to adapt to at first. But now that I've been living at home for about 6 months, it was a really good thing to do. I'm happy I did it. There's a part of me that does wish I did it earlier in medical school, but you can't go back and change the past. But again, I feel a lot better. I'm happier here. The dogs are happier here. And my life, I feel like, has just been a little bit more focused on my well-being than it was before I had moved back home. And then when I submitted my residency application, my clinical responsibilities have gone down significantly compared to 3rd year. I don't have to really study as much as I used to. And so I'm spending a lot more time on things that I actually really want to do, staying active, going out with my friends and, hanging out with loved ones and all that kind of stuff. And as you can see, because of all this, we're doing YouTube again. We're a lot more consistent now. I'm posting every week. I hung out with my good friend Andy, you guys know him as NDMD, the other week when I was in San Francisco, and that was like a really good motivator to be more consistent again. I feel like I got my creative spark back. I've really enjoyed editing, doing all the B-roll, getting the angles, and kind of figuring out a way to tell a story throughout my vlogs that you guys will enjoy. So for any of you guys who have stuck with me since basically medical school started, I really appreciate you guys sticking around. Even though I wasn't all that consistent for a while, it really means a lot to me, and I appreciate it so much more than you guys know. And on that note, talking about how you guys have stuck with me through this entire process, my final tuition payment for medical school is due this month. The crazy part about that is, I've had a tuition due every semester for the past almost 10 years. This is going to be my final tuition payment ever again, which is kind of an insanely free feeling. This time next year, I will not be considered a student. I will have a job. I will be working as a doctor. I mean, I'm still gonna have to pay for test practice banks and, board exam prep and all that kind of stuff. But I'd rather do that while I'm actually making money as a resident and not be, paying for all this other stuff. I don't know, I was talking to my mom about it the other day and just how nice that's gonna be to not be in the student seat anymore and to just be moving on to this next phase of my life. I'll be walking the stage and graduating on May 3rd, which is 5 months away. And that's nuts. The last 5 months have flown by really fast. So May is gonna be here in no time, and I'm gonna be done with medical school. And if Match goes the way that I want it to go, then May is just gonna be a really special time to celebrate and look back on this huge accomplishment. So what am I doing with all my free time? Well, I'm spending a lot of time with my dogs. I'm spending tons of time with my friends, family, and loved ones. I've been spending a lot of time playing video games with my friends pretty much every single night. Like, there was a phase during medical school where I did not play video games. I think that lasted for like a year and a half. I just did not have the time, the energy. I felt guilty playing video games because I was like, oh, I could be going to the gym or I could be studying. But now there is no guilt. Like, I have time to do everything right now, which is such an insane feeling. And like I said, I've been going to the gym pretty much every single day, which feels amazing. I feel really good physically. We went to Tough Mudder last month, or back in October, I think. And then we're actually gonna be doing a half marathon in February, and then a Spartan in March. And then I'm also back to weekly training in terms of tumbling, tricking, trampoline, which has felt really good because that's like my primary sport. That's the main reason I feel like I got athletic, when I was younger. And so it's felt really good to commit this much more time to it. In the same way that I've set academic goals for myself, I'm starting to set physical goals for myself, because I realized that a lot of the reason I stopped, training and putting my body through a lot of physically demanding things was because I just didn't have any more goals after, I had finished performing, and once I started really focusing in on medical school. So setting those goals has helped a lot, and, signing up for different races and stuff has just kept me so much more motivated, and it feels really good. DePaul and I have also been working on the research course I've mentioned on my channel a few times. It's the course that we're doing in partnership with Kevin Jubal over at Med School Insiders, and we had soft launched it a few months ago, and we're still rolling out the modules and the resources. And honestly, we're just so proud of this course. It's such a comprehensive research course for med students and pre-med students, and we're actually going to be filming later on today the last couple of core modules, and then we'll be getting started on the bonus modules. And I don't know, it's just so awesome to see a product that you're really passionate about, come to fruition. And we've been interacting with a lot of the members on Discord and doing office hours, and I don't know, it's just really fulfilling. I think it's the same feeling I get with YouTube, where I can envision something and create something and make it happen. I really like that feeling, and hopefully I can continue working on these little side hobbies and stuff as I progress through my career as a resident. Wow, it's been over 30 minutes and I'm still rambling. So if you guys are actually watching all this, I really appreciate it. And like I said earlier, it's the holidays. If you guys are off from school, I hope you guys have a lot of time to spend with family. I'm on a 2-week winter break, which is also why I'm doing this kind of video this week, because there wasn't really anything to vlog since I'm not on a rotation. But it's really nice to have a built-in 2-week vacation into my 4th year clinical schedule. It's allowed me to do a lot of last minute Christmas shopping, which I tell myself I'm not gonna do every year. And then every year I wait until the week before Christmas to do all my shopping. Next year for sure, I will stay on top of it. Anyway, let's end this ramble fest right here. I am so sorry. I've just been going on tangents, but honestly, this is my vlog. This whole channel is my vlog, so this is kind of what it's for. And I think I maybe got so caught up with, filming more scenic videos and getting B-roll and adding all the music and all that kind of stuff, that I forgot that maybe one of the core reasons I did this was to kind of be transparent about this process and this chapter of my life. So yeah, that was the big motivation to do more of a sit-down video. Anyway, I want to thank you guys again for your constant support. It means a lot to me, and it's just been such a privilege to bring you guys along on this journey. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas, everyone. I will see you guys next week.